What careers or jobs most attract psychopaths? There's been a study on this. It included corporate executives but also surgeons and chefs, both of whose work tends not to require not much actual socialization, or at least only with subordinates, not customers who have to be greeted pleasantly. I'm a chef. Can confirm. Chefs: I have worked in high-end kitchens and can confirm this. Chefs are fucking monsters, and I've genuinely wished death on every single one I've ever worked for while working under them. Afterwards I always come to realize and remember that it's almost necessary in their line of work. Still though, truly some of the worst people I've ever met. Little known field that is rife with psychopathy: public accounting. Fuck public accounting. Get a degree in accounting, potentially a master's, pass 4 of the hardest professional exams out there, and become a CPA to work 70-hour weeks from Jan-April while being paid like $13 an hour after dividing your weekly pay by hours worked, all while receiving daily emails about maintaining work-life balance. Everyone pretends like working 14+ hour days back to back is totally acceptable, actually 16 hours, but you only build 14, so that's all they care about. I once told my senior that I needed a mental break after she tried giving me work at 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday night after billing 56 hours in 4 days, and then proceeded to be chewed out by the senior and a manager. I'm seriously getting stressed out just writing this. I did 2 busy seasons in public accounting, and the people that succeed at these places are truly soulless. Also, roughly 80% of public accountants are alcoholics who think getting wasted is a hobby/personality trait. These corporations literally spend billions of dollars to trick college students into thinking that sacrificing your life expectancy for them is the only way to be successful in life. My advice to accounting students: don't drink the Kool-Aid. Shout out to r/accounting, come for the therapy, stay for the memes. I find those often in HR are not people that should be in HR. As a manager, there are times when you need to do something so evil even the legal department won't do it. For those times, you have HR. HR, in my experience, tends to be run by the sorts of people who threw parties in high school specifically so they could pointedly not invite certain people. Fucking car sales. Not sure if the job attracts them or makes normal people that way, but it's full of them. A used car salesman was on an early season of Survivor. He was probably cast to play up the stereotype of a greasy used car salesman shuckster. What they got was a very cold, deliberate and laser-focused con man, who fits nearly all of the key hallmarks of a psychopath. He lied to every person he played with about who he was. To his teammates, he was a lovable, honest, working-class, trustworthy friend. In private, he regarded them as pieces of ammunition, tools he could use to win the million. Far from being working class, or a Gil, he was highly successful and lived in a large home with 2 luxury cars and was married to a famous softcore porn star. Over the course of the season he showed almost no emotion, in an experience designed to elicit emotion from people. When he saw his wife for the first time in weeks, after living in the jungles of Thailand, he did not cry or break down like everybody else. He whispered in her ear that he was going to win. He did. He conned his way straight to the $1 million. The one flaw in his game was he retained absolutely no personal information about anyone he played with. He lived with these people 24 hours a day, with nothing to do but talk to each other, and at the end of the experience he had no idea where they were from, what their families were like, nothing. One of them he couldn't even remember her name, and that was after spending an entire afternoon telling her how much he loved her. It is one of the purest examples of a psychopath in a non-criminal context you can see on TV. Post Blue, right the fuck up. For anyone who wants an in-depth look at Brian on the show, I recommend this fantastic analysis. E2, just for fun, if anyone thinks Survivor is fake or scripted or whatever, this is the weight loss experienced by one contestant who played 2 full seasons, 39 days each, back to back, with just a few weeks off between. My dad's car salesman offed his wife. John Ronson wrote a fantastic book, The Psychopath Test. He interviewed people who created and used the test, as well as many psychopaths. Psychopaths in his book ranged from imprisoned murderers to very wealthy CEOs. My uncle is a non-violent psychopath. He was a very successful stockbroker, retired at 50, has a house that overlooks the beach where they shot Baywatch. Has never helped a single person in his family. Only helps people/strangers he can leverage into more social status. One of the most miserable people I've ever met in my whole life. He has no remorse for anything he says to anyone and can change from being a fun guy to a dick at the drop of a hat. I listened to a podcast once, Radio Lab, maybe? I can't remember, about a doctor, or professor, or both, who studied psychopaths by scanning brains and seeing what areas lit up under certain conditions. And he discovered his brain also lit up, like a psychopath. He certainly wasn't evil, but he did lack some empathy and would get revenge on people, like, years after the offense. It was so interesting. I wish I could remember who and what it was. Sales. It's known that psychopaths excel in sales because they do whatever they can to get ahead. Learned about it in psych in my undergrad and it always stuck with me. Edit, I've worked sales jobs myself, so I'm not judging anyone at all, I am just relaying information I recalled from my undergrad. I sell cars. I've worked sales for the last half decade or so. Sales attracts all sorts of people. It has a very low entry bar, but a pretty steep curve as far as success goes. I think most people in the business are fairly decent, normal folks. However, with that said, there are always crazies. Always. And they do tend to excel. It's really funny as a coworker, because you know the person on the deeper level, from spending so much time with them. You wonder why the fuck do people eat this guy's shit up? And it feels weird to you. But they have this ability to be very, very likable on a surface level, and it works. My dad is a born salesman, people always said. He's a total psychopath and a fucked up weirdo lol. Homeowners Association President. Up just said psychopaths, not actual minions of Satan. One of my favorite anecdotes, Dennis Rader, a notorious serial killer known as BTK, stopped committing murders after he got a job enforcing Hoa rules. Because he got as much satisfaction harassing people over pretty bullshit as he did from torturing and murdering his victims. I think statistically it's surgeons and CEOs. Worked with many a surgeon. We used to wonder about some of them, especially the one who worked with some of the assistants for 10+ years and didn't know their names. This guy would walk through the halls and not really even acknowledge your presence. He truly didn't see/care about others. His motto was pain is the patient's problem. Yeah, having no emotional response when cutting someone open must be quite an advantage. Paparazzi. Who was the first to think, let's harass celebrities and play the victim when they lash out? What scum. If it's any consolation, the paparazzi doesn't really make the big bucks the way they used to 15 years ago. Back then they could make a lot of money chasing Britney Spears around until she had a mental breakdown. Nowadays, thanks to social media, celebrities can broadcast their lives in a way that they see fit, so it's not profitable to stalk them anymore. Most celebrity candid shots that you've seen in the past few years were staged, not secretly taken by paparazzi. They are literally paid to stalk people. Any other person would get a restraining order. And some of them are super creepy and scary. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.